podcast, and welcome to the first Set the Tone Sundays. So, I've been doing a reset and realign Wednesday to help you check in midweek to just reset and realign and get through the week. But I wanted to do something to start your week, to set the tone, right? Because I feel like the term set the tone means paving the way, laying the groundwork, getting ready for what is about to happen. And that's how I feel about Mondays, about starting a new week. So one of the things that I do to really set the tone for my week is utilize my planner. I talk about planning and planners a lot on my podcast show. I don't know if you have a digital planner or a paper planner like me. I'm pretty old school. I have a paper planner that I use for my personal and business things that I have going on for the week. But I also use Calendly to book a lot of meetings and Google Calendar. Those help me a lot. But as far as writing down different tasks and checking them off and highlighting them, I'm really into my physical planner. It does something for me. I have my gel pens, I have my highlighter. It just gives me a lot of joy, a lot of fulfillment, a lot of satisfaction, to be honest with you. I don't know how you set the tone for your week, but I think planning is great for anybody. You don't have to have the same personality as me, live in the same city as me, or even think like me. But being a better planner and planning for your week can never be a bad thing. So, two of the things that I always plan for in my week are my meetings for my podcast. I like doing meetings to interview people that can be potential guests on my show. And I do meetings to network and catch up with people to see how we can partner together. So, planning your meetings, knowing what time they are, knowing what day they are, and staying organized and making sure that you get to those meetings really set the tone for your own connections, right? Your own networking. So, you got to set the tone in a multitude of ways when it comes to your overall development and your overall success. So, that's how I look at setting the tone for my week when it comes to scheduling and planning out meetings I have with other people. That way that it's reciprocal, that I'm respectful of their time, and that they know that I mean business and it's good vibes all the way around. Next up is movement. I love to work out. I have a lot of fitness goals and wellness goals that I'm trying to achieve this year. If you listen to my podcast and you know that I did 75 hard last year and it really changed my life, it changed the way that I think, the way that I move, and the way that I feel about my body and my personal mindset and how I should treat other people and the energy I should take on, the energy that I should give. So I think movement is super important. And I think that sets the tone for my week. And if it doesn't set the tone for your week, think about that. Think about how you could be moving more and moving better. That doesn't mean you have to do 5Ks like me or go to cycling class like I do. That just means that you should be setting the tone in some way for your health. That is extremely important. You should incorporate movement and health into your week. Point blank, period. Again, you don't have to be like me or think like me or live like me, but movement for your overall health and wellness is extremely important. Okay. And also planning, like I mentioned earlier. So for me, I like to do around 2 to 4 workout classes during the week. I work out pretty much every single day. I walk about 2 miles a day because I have 2 dogs and it's very important for me to do that. And I usually do a walk slash run challenge in the Nike Run app. So I do about 50 to 65 miles a week. So I'm already walking, I'm already moving, and I base my walks around the morning time and the evening time. I do 2 long walks. I'm about to go do one when I wrap up with this live right now with my dogs to get another 30 minutes in. And I normally do it before or after dinner. So again, those are two things that really help me set my week: my movement, my health, my wellness goals, and planning my week and making sure my meetings are booked, that I'm respecting the time of others and myself. So, thirdly, for me, how I set the tone is what I put in my body, what I consume. Again, I am your health wellness advocate. Maybe not the healthiest person you've ever met, but definitely one of them. So I plan my meals. I write out what I'm going to be eating for the week. I do eat vegetarian. I do have a plant-based diet. So I like to make sure my meals are fun and flavorful and just engaging for my palate. So those are the 3 ways I really set the tone for my week. Again, planning, my meals, my meetings, and my workouts. So important to me. And I know this is a financial wellness and mental wellness podcast, but I feel like if you don't have the right body and the right mindset and the right organizational skills, then you really can't be super successful financially. So really think about those 3 things and what that looks like for you and your personal life. Again, not exactly what I'm doing, but what you could do in those 3 areas for yourself. Set the tone, pave the way, lay the groundwork, and then put things into action. You have to be action oriented when it comes to setting the tone, right? And so I also want you guys to think about this. Any negativity, any thing that drained your energy last week, leave it in last week. Do not start tomorrow at all when you wake up out of the bed with any negative thoughts about what you spent, how you felt, who said what to you. Leave the negative portions of those things in last week. Okay. Now, how can you move forward with those three examples? If you spent too much, look at your budget. You can always pivot, have a pivot and growth mindset. Okay. Maybe you didn't spend as much as you expected. Where can you allocate those funds? Okay. Think about things in backwards and forward movements. Okay. Super, super important. Okay, you guys. So, next up, if someone did something to you that you didn't like, that made you upset, you thought about it a lot over the weekend, they hurt your feelings, or they were just rude, you can decide how you want to move forward. You can have a conversation with them, get rid of them, or continue to allow the behavior. Those are really your only three options, okay? But don't dwell on it. Not for too long, okay? Let's say you weren't feeling well or something happened to you. Maybe you got in a car accident. I hate it happened. But how can you set the tone to go forward? What actions can you take to get things resolved? Okay, think about that. Number one, what are the next actions? What are the next steps? The first two, really, to get things resolved around those situations. Okay. I think in a nutshell, if you take your time, if you do forward and backward alignment, meaning scale back on something and grow forward in something, and that doesn't mean in a negative light, I think you can really extremely set the tone for your week, set the tone for your day, set the tone for your life. So I told you the things that I'm really focused on setting the tone for, right? My financial wellness, my physical wellness, what I'm putting in my body, how I'm moving my body, but from a financial standpoint, I think that's super important too that I do bring that up to you and what that looks like for me. And I'm going to go with checking my budget. I talk about budgeting so much on the podcast and a lot here on the channel and money wellness and what that looks like for you. Always be setting yourself up for success. I think your budget can always pivot, it can always get better, you can always scale back, and you can always go forward. So, one of the things that I do for my budget is I look at my budget around my morning routine. I'm very routine. I've talked about this a lot if you haven't listened to the show. I schedule my budget with my breakfast, budget and breakfast. B and B, B plus B, okay? Because I'm already knowing that I'm gonna be looking at my budget in the beginning of the week, the middle of the week, and usually at the end of the week. So I try to do Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, or Monday, Thursday, Sunday, and really just balance out what am I gonna spend, how much I spent, and how much I have left to spend, right? And looking at bills as well, because bills are part of budgeting. So I want you to think about your budget and what part of your day and what part of your week can you incorporate your budget to set the tone. I highly suggest doing it at the beginning of the week. So you're setting the tone for the rest of the week and there are no surprises, right? So think about it that way. Um, One of the other things I do when it comes to finances is to set my tone for the week. I think about what would I like to spend my money on? What are the fun things that I can do with my money that I have space to do, right? So for me, I'm going to usually think about coffee, wellness and experiences, right? It might be totally different for you, but if I have extra money laying around or an extra fun budget laying around, I'm looking forward to spending that money probably end of the week or the weekend. And that's what I want to do with my funds. So think about what you would like to do with your funds and your money and your spending at the beginning of the week. That way there's no surprise. Hey, want to go to dinner an hour beforehand on Thursday night? You didn't necessarily budget for that. And there's nothing wrong with doing things that are impromptu. So leave space for impromptuity within your budget, okay? Make sure you do that, but also plan around the things that bring you joy. Maybe you really don't want to go out to eat. Maybe you want to do something else with that money. You can say no. Budgeting means no. Budgeting means yes. Budgeting means maybe. Budgeting means later or not right now. Keep all those things in mind when it comes to your budget. So, I want to talk about something that I spent my money on today. I purchased 3 new plants. I've been wanting to re-up my plant game. I haven't bought any plants since September of last year when my mom came, and honestly, I just wasn't in the space to really take care of them, but one in particular that I really stuck with was my snake plant. And snake plants represent resilience, okay? They represent strength and they represent positive energy and protection. And those are things that I always want in my life, but especially now in my early 30s, I really tend to lean toward those things in my life. So today I brought another snake plant. It just felt right. I wanted low maintenance plants that give out a lot of positive, protective, and helpful, peaceful energy. And they're resilient. I don't have to do a lot to get a lot, right? Um, and I'm a really resilient person. And I think that has a lot to do with why I set my tone for the week the way that I do, because I'm going to always bounce back and I can take on adversity. I can take on challenges. I'm going to thrive regardless. So I bought a plant, snake plant today, and I bought two other plants. And funny enough, when I got home, I looked up what they meant. Before I went to the store, all I looked up was low maintenance, indirect light, only got to water every 2 to 3 weeks. That's all I needed. Honestly, I didn't really need more than that. Okay. Because that is the most I'm trying to do right now. I really want a green space that can purify my air and have clean air and clean energy. But again, I didn't know what they meant. So I ended up buying two other plants. It said, I asked Chat GPT. I said, Chat, hey, what should I buy? And it said, hey, you should get a pothos plant or a ZZ plant. A ZZ plant is actually pronounced Zami oculcas, okay? And a ZZ plant and the golden pothos plant literally had damn near the exact same qualities that the snake plant had, little to my knowing. Here, I'm gonna list them off. Let me look over at my notepad. So the golden pothos represented prosperity, resilience, positive energy, perseverance, and abundance. The ZZ plant, aka the word I can't pronounce, the Zamioculcas, represents abundance, longevity, prosperity, protection, stability, resilience, and wealth. Literally. And again, the snake plant represented 89, 95% of all those same things. And those are all things that I've been wanting more in my life. So I set the tone for my week with something additional without even knowing it. Um, because I put myself in the space that brought me joy, which is going to get plants and making my safe space, my home, more relaxing for me. So I really want you to think about a few things. I'm going to bring everything, full circle right now for you. When it comes to setting the tone, you're setting the tone for yourself. You can't help anybody else. You can't help your wallet. You can't help your money until you set the tone for you and make sure you take care of your mental health, your physical health, and your financial health. And anyone that loves you and cares about you or that is in your life will understand. Anyone who does not truly love and care about you or understand, or who is in a area, arena, episode, theme of improvement, or they don't know they need to get better, those are the kind of people that are still working on themselves or either don't want to work on themselves. They are only going to hinder your financial and mental success. Okay. So think about those things as you go into your week, as you go into Monday, set the tone. Look at your budget. Look at your plans. Look at your extra spending that you have available to you. Spend on things that bring you joy and value to your life. So I hope you have thought about setting the tone for your week a little bit more. I hope that I brought value to you today. And I hope you go and have an amazing, beautiful, and abundant, prosperous, energy driven, and resilient week because you deserve nothing less. Again, I'm your host, Shelbie Morgan of the Hustle, Budget, and Glow podcast. Make sure you lock in with me on the YouTube channel. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. That's how you show up for me. That's how we build community. That's how we engage. Make sure you lock in with me on other social media channels. We have LinkedIn, we have TikTok, we have Instagram. I have my Substack channel where I write a lot more and go deeper into things from a creative written standpoint. Locking with me on Threads. I want to talk to you on all platforms, and make sure you check out and listen to the podcast on your favorite streaming platform, Audible, Castbox, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, it's on there. So you already know, keep hustling, but not too much. Stay blessed and the glow will shine. I'm going to wish you peace, abundance, and love. I'm out, y'all. Have a great week.